Police arrested 6 Extinction Rebellion activists who were blocking a concrete factory at the Olympic Park this morning. Well, why they're protesting there? Well, mixing concrete is responsible for almost 10% of carbon dioxide emissions. But as our political correspondent Simon Harris reports, many were wondering why so many police officers were needed to tackle today's protest.
The thin blue line was looking a little swollen. The Met was out in force in Stratford, where 3 climate change protesters were lying in front of a gate to a concrete works. It did beg the question, how many police officers does it take? We counted 12 vans and 2 cars.
You look at all the problems that we've got around East London. The knife crime particularly stands out. You never see coppers walking around the streets. But big business, I have never seen so many coppers together.
As officers started to move the 3 protesters, the police weren't keen for us to get close, for our own safety apparently. There's an awful lot of police here.
Yep.
You're threatening to arrest us for filming.
I'll talk to you down there. I'm not threatening to arrest you for filming.
You're saying you're going to arrest us for aggravated trespass.
Yes.
There are,
we can talk
30,
just down
40,
here.
50 police
We can
officers
talk
here?
just down here.
Do you not think there
We
are
can talk
better
down behind
uses
the
of
car.
police resources
Okay.
than trying to arrest us? Eventually, 6 activists were arrested. They were demonstrating about the carbon footprint of concrete. If you stop concrete being made, how does London grow?
Can London grow to the same extent in a climate emergency? We've got 11 years left at the maximum.
So you're trying to bring the construction industry to a standstill?
We're trying to get everyone to change the way they do everything.
In Waterloo, there were more police vans as protesters parked their now familiar boat on a pavement.
I'm absolutely furious. Everybody knows the situation in London. Khan has completely lost control of knife crime, etc. And these police officers, and I'm standing here looking at van full after van full of police officers with their time completely taken up looking after this nonsense.
On the other side of the street, a mini tent village has sprung up in a small park. The park has become the base camp for protesters taking part in a week of disruption on the streets of London. Extinction Rebellion calls it a summer uprising. The park is run by a charity which has a lease which bans camping, but it seems there's nothing it can do.
Because it's a peaceful protest, we absolutely support the right to peaceful protest, but we're slightly concerned about the damage that might be caused to the park.
Extinction Rebellion says we can expect more protests tomorrow. Simon Harris, ITV News, Stratford.
Next tonight, after 3 years inside an Iranian prison cell, news today that Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe has been moved to a mental health ward in Tehran. The mother from Hampstead was arrested on spying charges, something she has always denied. Her husband Richard has tirelessly campaigned for her release. He's unclear whether this latest development can help her case. He was in the House of Commons earlier, where his wife's situation was raised in an emotional address by the Speaker. With more, here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
For more than 3.5 years, Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe has been a prisoner in this Tehran jail. But suddenly, this week, she was taken from her cell in handcuffs by members of Iran's hardline Revolutionary Guard. She's now in a psychiatric ward at a hospital in Tehran, but no one from her family has been allowed to see her.
The 2 things that worry me are A, that she's under Revolutionary Guard control, and B, that no one can get access, no phone calls, no visits. And obviously then what's actually happening becomes a lot more uncertain.
In the Commons, her MP suggested a sinister motive for the move.
Her ward has been sealed off, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guards are not allowing any human contact with Nazanin at this moment. The family fear that she may be drugged or being tortured and may be forced to sign a confession to unnamed crimes.
Mrs. Zaghari-Ratcliffe was arrested at an airport in Tehran in 2016. The Iranian authorities said she was a spy. She emphatically denied it. Last month, she started a hunger strike, and her husband did the same outside the Iranian embassy in London. Among the MPs who went to see him was the Commons Speaker.
I was struck by your quite extraordinary stoicism and forbearance, a standard to which, in such circumstances, any of us could aspire, but I suspect none of us would attain.
Mr. Ratcliffe was listening from the public gallery. Last week, the Royal Navy stopped a supertanker loaded with Iranian crude oil off the coast of Gibraltar. It's thought it was heading for Syria in breach of EU sanctions. The Iranian media has suggested Britain might release the tanker in return for Mrs. Zaghari Ratcliffe's freedom. Her husband is trying to be hopeful.
Hospital's better than prison. Being out of prison is always a good sign. It's not clear what's going on. It's clear there's all these other politics. Maybe this is the sort of a stepping stone towards a potential solution.
The other victim in this diplomatic stalemate is the couple's daughter Gabriella, a little girl who's grown up with her grandparents in Iran, unable to be with her dad and forced to visit a prison to be with her mum. Simon Harris, ITV News.